What is the IKEA effect?
Okay, so the IKEA effect is this really interesting concept. It's been around since about 2011 in this format. It was developed at Yale by Norton and a couple of his colleagues. And basically, what it tells us is that when we've been involved in making something, we place greater value on the end product than, say, if we hadn't made it. So if we think about when we assembled some furniture, as the name suggests, when we take our flat pack IKEA products and we make them ourselves, there's greater pride, there's greater perceived value on the end product. We will obviously have a sense of achievement around that, but also interestingly, people have shown in research that they're willing to pay substantially more, over 60% more, for a product that they've been involved in its assembly, versus the same product where they haven't been involved in its assembly.
Interesting. Then, how can we leverage the IKEA effect in workplace learning?
So I think there's a few ways that this can be, incorporated into workplace learning. One point of this that I think is really useful is when we think about ideas. So not every workplace is going to have a tangible product as part of their output. So I think in terms of ideas and, coming up with even things like design, coming up with things about process, procedure, if you allow your employees to be part of that, from inception, then they feel more like they have had an involvement in its creation. So they're more likely to have that buy-in through to task completion and feel like it's something that they have some kind of personal investment in. I think that's key to keep employees interested rather than feeling like they're carrying out tasks that they haven't been able to have any input in, despite, say, maybe the expertise that they would have in the area.
So when designing learning, it's really important to get some of your end users, some of your learners to be part of that design process with the IKEA effect, say, well, that's a good thing to do.
Oh, definitely. And I think that's why feedback is so important, because we can have all of the best aims in the world, but if we don't consider how the end user is, maybe, then we may fail in what we deliver. So by allowing the end users to also have that opportunity to give some input into how their product or process or service is designed and delivered, that will also increase their motivation to be involved within it and to see it through.
Fantastic. And are there any downsides to the IKEA effect?
So I think, as with everything, nothing is perfect. And I think when we think of something like the IKEA effect, we have to be careful not to go too strong with it, because in the case of, say, where we have involvement with ideas and idea generation, we can have some kind of negative outcome when the commitment effect comes into play. So this might be where you have such strong ownership of your own idea that sometimes when your ideas may not be quite as good or quite as useful, that we're unwilling to let these go, and that this can cause a bit of an issue. So we need to be mindful about monitoring the extent to which we can be involved in the creation of ideas and output, so that it's more objective as well, that we don't tend to run with our heart over our head.
Well, look, I think even with that in consideration, it sounds like the IKEA effect can be hugely beneficial, especially in terms of motivation and in learning and motivating learners. So definitely something worth exploring for you learning designers out there.
Oh, absolutely. I think the IKEA effect is really something that if we can take on board, then we can get much better results from our end users and much better feedback all around.